On the news, Minister of Finance and Minister of Economic Planning and Budget unveil blueprint for 2024 budget. Crew members survive as NAF helicopter crashes in Port Harcourt. And Save the Children initiative raises alarm over climate change impact on children. It's a pleasure to have you join us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkwulie. President Bola Tinubu has presented a 27.5 trillion budget estimate for the 2024 fiscal year to the National Assembly. The budget-themed Budget of Renewed Hope aims to achieve job economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhanced human capital development, and poverty reduction. This next report has a detailed breakdown of critical allocations in the 2024 budget.
Based on his presentation at the National Assembly on the 2024 budget, President Tinubu said his administration would prioritize the health, education and defense sector in their spending, while also mentioning that the education sector will get an allocation of 7.9% from the budget, which also includes the student loans.
This education allocation includes the provision of 50 billion naira for the student loans fund. This is in addition to what has been appropriated before in the supplementary appropriation for the takeoff of the student loans fund.
Recognizing the growing challenges and heightened demand for a robust healthcare system, the budget allocated 1.33 trillion naira to the healthcare sector, aimed at fortifying the healthcare infrastructure to meet the evolving needs of the nation.
The health sector receive an increase in to about 1.4 trillion, 1.33 trillion, including immunizations. The Coordinating Minister of Health impressed Mr. President and the Cabinet of challenges that are being faced in the pharmaceutical industry and thus the need for more funding to compensate and to help keep the sector in good stead.
Acknowledging the critical nature of the defense sector for national security, the budget earmarks the highest allocation, 12% for defense, a substantial investment which reflects the government's commitment to maintaining a strong defensive apparatus.
Defense and security sector receive about 3.25 trillion, which is about 12% of the budget. This is quite significant, and especially following from the provision of close to 600 billion in the supplementary appropriation that was passed about 2 months ago to the defense and security sector. This confirms government's commitment to funding all security agencies and ensuring that the progress recorded is maintained and indeed improved upon.
Against the backdrop of ongoing global and domestic challenges, Finance Minister Wale Edun highlighted the budget's strategic strength in reducing reliance on borrowing.
As we heard earlier from Mr. President, focusing on expenditure management to give value for money with expenditure and to raise revenue. And we heard that the key target is to increase tax to GDP, the proportion of tax to GDP from roughly under 10% now to 18% by the time of, in a couple of years' time. And that target is a hugely ambitious one, but which clearly we need to meet in order to reduce, as I said, the reliance on borrowing.
Despite concerns about Nigeria's weakening economic growth, the government believes that the 2024 budget will play a pivotal role in stabilizing the economy and also instill renewed confidence among citizens by driving economic growth and addressing key sectors vital to the nation's development.
On the sidelines of the ongoing Global Climate Conference COP28, Save the Children International SCI has raised serious concerns about climate change, labeling it the most pressing crisis and a significant threat to children worldwide. Director of Advocacy, Campaign Communication and Media at Save the Children International Emmanuel Mamo, emphasized the disproportionate impact on children who bear the least responsibility for the climate crisis but suffer its most profound consequences. Mamo outlined potential repercussions, including increased diseases, conflict over dwindling resources, and displacement due to extreme weather events, all linked together to climate change effects.
Develop a responsible behavior to protect the environment. So we should be cautious and deliberate in terms of how we minimize polluting the environment. The use of environmental unfriendly materials, plastics, what are we doing? Are we contributing to the pollution of our environment, our area? So that's the first thing we do. We have to do. The second thing is, I think the government needs to be deliberate in terms of investing more on environmental protection. It can be as simple as mobilizing the communities to plant trees. The more we plant trees, the more we will be able to minimize the carbon emission on the environment.
We have experienced the worst level of climate crisis in different parts of the states. We have suffered a lot. Houses were washed and agricultural has been diminished. Children are the most suffering, people that are suffering. The repercussions are keenly felt by children. So it is really good to have us as children to be in movement of ending the climate crisis in Nigeria.
Climate crisis hinders children from getting access to quality education, and it restricts their fundamental rights as children, like the right to protection, right to free play, like right to communicate, right to freedom. It restricts them from their rights, and it makes them feel violated and can affect them in a sexual way or in a mentally or psychologically.
To speak more on the ongoing Global Climate Conference in Dubai, Yusuf Kaladi, environmentalist, joins me now. It's good to have you join me. Now, nearly 200 nations have agreed on the first night of COP28 to launch a fund to support countries hit by global warming. Are we seeing climate justice getting served?
Yeah, well, thank you once again for having me. It's a very good speech. Which is an ambitious one for us to actually get to hear that, because that is what we are all looking up to at COP28. Taking it from the conclusion at the last COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, two major conclusions were the major deal that were reached. And one is the participation of young people in battling climate change. And secondly is the creation of the loss and damage funds. And after that, the conference up till now, there are issues concerning how the UN body will affect the positive use, even the flow of the loss and damage fund. So at this summit, it's a major issue. From the opening remark from the president in session of COP28, what they are looking at is transforming the climate and finance, and such that the loss and damage fund come into fruition. Because if that happens, that will help to mitigate the effect of climate change, especially for developing countries. Because the challenge we are having is that the developed countries, they are responsible for more than 95% of the global emission that causes the climate change and disasters we're having all over the world, and everywhere is hit. So African countries contribute less than 1% to the entire global carbon emission. And they are facing a lot of the effects of climate change. And developing countries are at the mercy of the big countries. And that was why the loss and damage fund was agreed upon. But how to effectively implement the fund, it's the challenge we're having now. And probably that is where the major issue within the COP28 will be focused on. On how they are going to effectively put up the fund, assessing the fund, making sure that the fund go for what they are specified for, and to mitigate the effect of climate change in developing countries, especially African countries. So if that works well, it will be to the advantage of a country like Nigeria, because we have our effects here. For the past 5 years, it's been tough. The Middle Belt region of Nigeria, which is the meeting point, is where we are having the major climate change effect in Nigeria, because there's drought in the north, and desertification, and those grazing are moving towards
All right, sir. So sorry to interrupt you there, but for a country like Nigeria that is highly dependent on fossil fuel, what should be the focus of the country's message at this conference?
We depend on fossil fuel, but there are alternative energy sources that we can annex, and these things are there. So that's why I'm looking at, from the global, what we expect from the global level. There are also things we expect from the local level as well, the things we need to do. Now, the major challenge to the global level, the BRICS country, they are making effort at growing their club. And these are countries that are really dealing in use of coal, which is a major threat to achieving the UN agreement, the use of coal. And for us, Nigeria, there are alternative energy sources that we can make use of. But then, if the agreement is reached, or how developing countries can benefit from the loss and damage fund, it will go a long way for us to tackle the environmental challenges that we have. Even the fossil fuel you're talking about, the alternative energy sources will be an option where we can have renewable energy everywhere. We have sun that we can trap to create a lot of solar panels and make use of solar energy. There are energy we can trap from the ocean. There are even energy we can even trap from the soil and put in use as alternative energy sources, so that we reduce our reliance on fossil fuel. For us as a country, we need to start preparing to reduce our reliance on fossil fuel. Most countries are setting 2030 as a target for vehicles in their country to be all electric vehicles. We need to start looking inward. These are some of the renewable energy options that countries are looking up to. So basically, what will favor Nigeria from this conference as a developing country is for the loss and damage fund to be properly initiated, and a system on how it will flow will be agreed upon, so that developing countries can benefit. That is always beneficial to us as a developing country as well.
Yusuf Kelani, environmental expert, thank you for your time and your contribution. Moving on, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Local Content and representative of Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has praised the collaboration between the Niger Delta Development Commission and the Nigeria LNG Limited for its positive impact on local content capacity. In an interactive session with NDDC Managing Director Samuel Ogbuku, Natasha emphasized the significance of prioritizing the recruitment of locally trained workers to enhance service delivery efficiency. She also commended the initiative as a means to empower the local workforce and stimulate economic growth in the region.
It will interest you to know that I had a discussion with my team just yesterday in the local content, and we're trying to be quite innovative with our approach. We've decided to create a database of skilled artisans. We're going to have them profiled and segmented by their skills, and we would love to interface with you and get into the register of all the trained artisans, and even not just artisans, people across all our talents, ICT, like we said, engineers, the health physicians and all others. And then we could have a robust, verifiable database of young skills that could be recruited.
It's another narrow miss as the Nigerian Air Force helicopter crashed at Port Harcourt on Friday, December 1 around 7:45 a.m. The crash occurred shortly after the aircraft took off of an operation targeting oil thieves in Rivers State. NAF spokesperson Air Commodore Edward Gabquet confirmed the incident, saying all 5 crew members on board survived with minor injuries. The injured personnel are currently receiving medical attention at the NAF Medical Center in Port Harcourt. Gabquet added that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, is en route to Port Harcourt to assess the situation, ensure the well-being of the crew, and provide further directives. President of the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS Commission Omar Toure has delivered the annual report on the state of the community to ECOWAS Parliament. During his presentation, Toure provided a comprehensive overview of the significant accomplishments, challenges and prospects confronting the ECOWAS region in 2023. Toure acknowledged the remarkable economic growth demonstrated by most ECOWAS member states, even the evident global economic slowdown. However, he expressed concerns regarding the persistent upward trend in public debt and inflation across member states.
The performance of the ECOWAS economies in 2023 mimicked that of the global economy due to the strong linkages, especially trade, investment, and financial linkages. Thus, the growth rate of the region slowed down to 3.7% in 2023 compared to 3.9% in 2022. Annual average inflation is expected to peak at 20% compared to 7% in 2022. This is due mainly to imports and the depreciation of currencies. The public debt deteriorated further to 48.8% of the GDP compared to 36.8% of the GDP in 2022. However, the region's budget deficit is expected to moderate slightly to 5.2% of GDP compared to 5.4% of GDP in 2022. This is attributable to increased revenue administration and expenditure control.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, IMF considers debt for climate swap to aid nations facing financial strain. Details of the story right after this break.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Many thanks for staying with us. Here's a recap of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu, during his presentation of the 27.5 trillion budget estimate for the 2024 fiscal year, said the budget of renewed hope aims to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhanced human capital development, and poverty reduction. Giving a full details of the budget, the Minister of Finance Wale Edun, but the Minister of Economic and Budget Planning Atiku Bagudu, said the budget prioritized the health, education, and defense sector in their spending. We also told you that a Nigerian Air Force helicopter crashed at Port Harcourt on Friday, December 1, around 7:45 a.m. The crash occurred shortly after the aircraft took off for an operation targeting oil thieves in Rivers State. Air Commodore Edward Gabwet, NAF spokesperson, who confirmed the incident, said a 5 crew member on the board survived with minor injuries. The injured personnel are currently receiving medical attention at the NAF Medical Center in Port Harcourt. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store and Huawei App Gallery. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. It's now time for business news. Simisola Adigun has the latest in business. Over to you, Simi.
Thank you very much, Tamilore. In business, in a move to address the financial challenges faced by debt-ridden nations, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is contemplating the establishment of a groundbreaking debt for climate swap program designed to provide much-needed relief to countries grappling with substantial debt burdens, with a specific focus on African nations, including Nigeria. In an interview at the ongoing Global Climate Conference, COP28, Kristalina Georgieva, the managing director of the IMF, emphasized the complex challenges faced by nations with significant debt loads, particularly in the context of ambitious decarbonization efforts. The IMF, known for its role in facilitating economic stability and growth, sees the proposed debt for climate swap as a way to enhance the attractiveness of developing nations and emerging economies for private capital. I'll take a short break here. Stock market is up next. The local bourse maintained its positive gain on the last weekday of trading, increasing by 0.08%. The market breadth also ended positive with 38 gainers against 27 losers. Ikeja Hotel led the league of gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 4.62 naira per share, followed closely by Nimeth International Pharmaceuticals PLC. Now, in aggregate, 119 NGX listed equities participated in trading and exchanged a total of 361 million volume of shares valued at 10.2 billion naira in 5,640 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 10 billion naira. Now, compared with the previous trading day, Friday's data shows a 33% decline in volume and 13% decline in deals. For select global stocks, investors are confident that interest rates will fall next year, luring cash into equities, cryptocurrencies and gold at the expense of the dollar. This confidence gives the UK's FTSE and US Dow Jones a bull run, leaving only Japan's Nikkei in the bears. That's all on business and stock market report. Back to you, Tamilore.
Thank you, Sami. Now, on the global scene, Iranian delegate at the United Nations climate talks in United Arab Emirates staged a walkout on Friday in protest against the presence of Israeli representatives. Iran's Energy Minister Ali Akbar, who led the delegation, expressed that they considered Israel's participation at COP28 as contradictory to the conference's goal and guidelines, prompting their decision to leave the venue. The move reflects the long-standing political tensions between Iran and Israel, with the former citing objections to Israel's involvement in international forums. Simultaneously, Iran has accused Israel and the United States of being responsible for the resumption of hostilities in the Gaza Strip. And in sport, clubs from La Liga, the top tier of Spanish Football League, will start visiting Nigeria from 2024 on scouting mission, organizing coaching workshops and develop working relations with local academies. La Liga country manager for Nigeria and Ghana, Desmond Chiji, revealed this at a sport tourism and diplomacy forum held in Lagos recently. Speaking at the event, Chiji reinforced the power of football as a sport to empower the girl child. Correspondent Jide Olaniran completes the story.
Partnerships, collaborations, empowerment, sustainability and infrastructural development were some of the issues that resonated at the Sports, Tourism and Diplomacy Forum as sports administrators at different subnational levels speak on how they are putting policies and infrastructure together to promote sports tourism.
We're working on smaller cluster facilities across the state. So we're tapping into our current resources. So the Ministry of Housing and the Ministry of Works and Housing, they are involved. So we have to ensure that we're doing green construction and the equipment used are sustainable. Yeah. So that's one of the things we're working on.
We will try to work with, like for example, if I look to LCD, that is beside that Jebule, there's one Makana. So if I look to 2 months to have something like that, so they're able to house their own community. So what Lagos City is doing is, as much as government spending our own money to get this done, is welcoming private people to get partnership. You see in Lekki now, they hardly have issues to sporting activities because they have like 2 or 3 within their neighborhoods. They can always go to the evening and burn off.
As the world turns to renewable energy, sports, as one of the human endeavors, is also not left out in championing the use of green energy to power sports facilities for sustainability.
Things that won't require the use of diesel generator, fossil fuel always, because diesel is very expensive. And for that reason, we want to leverage on newer technologies like solar floodlights, solar scoreboard. There's a lot of solar application to sport equipment these days. And so this for us is one key factor that has really helped to put us out there as a reputable company.
Sports tourism can also grow locally through the empowerment of a girl child, collaboration and alignment of objectives.
Because our idea is, since we cannot do it most of the things, we are trying for the clubs to take bigger role in that. And some of the clubs have realized that, they have a lot of interest in Nigeria, but some of them didn't know how to go about it. But now that we are here, we are guiding the clubs. So I think by next year, you're going to be seeing a lot of clubs come down here, have scouting missions, have coaching trainings, creating opportunities between them and some academies.
It's on us, I think, to go there, to get these people together, to connect them in an organized pathway that eventually would create a protected space for the players. A protected space for them to be there, to grow, and eventually at a certain moment to come back and to invest themselves in expanding this opportunity for many more people.
To maximize Nigeria's sports tourism potentials, the federal and state governments and other stakeholders will have to think global and act local. Jide Olaniro, TV 360, Lagos.
That's all we can take on News Now on TV 360. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.